So welcome everyone.
Now we're ready.
I think we are.
Yeah, we're ready now. Sorry.
So my name is Kirsten Liebman, and I am here with
Rennie Davis.
And we are the founders of the Foundation for a New Humanity. And today's webinar is called For the Love of Humanity on Valentine's Day. We thought that was a very appropriate name for this webinar because it is the launch of our Vote Hope 2020 project. And basically what we are going to try to accomplish today is to get you as excited about this project and the possibilities that we can do with this project as we are. One of the things that I would like to do, so, you know, we have these 13 life principles that is one of the foundations for the work that we do. And so I thought I would pull a card for all of us. So all of you just tune in to me right now. We're all connected right now via one of our senses called circuits. And I know that's a one-liner and I apologize for that. But we are all connected, heart to solar plexus. Just tune in and let's see what card will be our card for this call today. Okay. So let's see what wants to be said today. All right, here we go. Joy.
I knew there was joy.
You knew there was joy. All right, so I had picked celebration just before we started. And so now as a collective group, we picked joy. And really the essence of joy is to understand that there is only one energy in this reality, and it is joy. Everything else is compressed joy, and it's actually really the perfect card for today's
what
webinar.
I'm going to talk about.
I know, it's like perfect. So Rennie will explain that a little bit more. And so, you know, one of the things that we are going to be addressing is the collective group of fears, which is why I asked you, you know, share what are your fears. You know, yesterday I was in a meditation and I was feeling, normally when I do get into anxiety anymore, which I used to be so, I used to live with a lot of underlying anxiety, and it would always sit in my solar plexus. And through this work, I really have more or less been able to clear that out, but it still comes in. And so yesterday I was in my meditation and I felt this almost like a dread that sat like right in the upper chest area, very, very unusual for me. I normally don't feel dread up here. And so I sat with it. I used our tool for our Check Egos principle called Notice and Observe. And I just looked at it. I didn't go into it. I didn't let myself go into the hole of dread. I just very curiously turned around, you know, metaphorically, and looked at it. And it was so interesting. What I was tuning into was what was happening in this country and the direction we are going in this country and what that could mean for our liberties, for the environment, you know, the loss of my beloved, you know, wilderness, those kinds of things. And I could feel I was tuning into that. And so what I did is I used the frequencies in the meditation that we're going to be doing a little bit later to literally just flood it with that pure electrical life frequency, and was able to literally just flood it out and flush it out and dissolve it and come back into my beauty. And that is on a very small scale, the invitation that we are going to be putting out today is to step into our observer, to step into our beauty, and to not let ourselves be dragged into the fears, the stresses, the worries, the anxieties of the world and what is coming. And just stay in our beauty and then use the frequencies to flesh out anything that is within us. So Mark said, you have a 13-year-old son, and as I watch coral bleaching and decline of sea life, I'm concerned that this underwater world will not be around for him to enjoy. So very similar to what I said about, you know, the loss of the beauty of our natural world and what that means for us, not just from an enjoyment perspective, but literally from a survival perspective. And then Dana said that, well, the big business project I got in the works will be successful, and can I handle the success? Yeah, fear of success is oftentimes a bigger fear than the fear of failure. Being a business owner, I am very, very familiar with that and have worked through that as well. And really all of the fears, you know, when you take all of the fears and you take them for what they are, which is a compressed energy, dense energy, and sourced from egos, you can turn any fear around. You can decompress any fear and turn it around and know that it's better than you could ever imagine. So as I was preparing for this webinar, what came in actually this morning was the question about, did you know that it took 100 years from the time that people started understanding that there might be a problem with not washing our hands before we, you know, open up somebody on a surgery table and them getting infections? It took 100 years before that became part of the hygiene guidelines, that we should actually disinfect, that doctors should disinfect their hands. So it was actually this. It was an Austrian gentleman, and I had to write his name down. I mean, I can pronounce it, but I couldn't remember it. In the 1800s, this Austrian doctor named Ignaz Semmelweis. I can pronounce it because I'm German, but I couldn't remember it. Ignaz Semmelweis. He started observing that, you know, doctors went from, you know, working on cadavers and dead people, kind of washed their hands a little bit, and then walked into the delivery room to deliver babies, and found that these women were getting massively infected, and especially in a few hospitals, like far more than other hospitals that were doing this. And so he started, you know, suggesting, well, maybe you should wash your hands in I think it was like a lime something, a concoction that he knew would disinfect. And the doctors, they didn't want to have anything to do with it. They were like, oh, you're just crazy. So, you know, just a simple suggestion, it was denied right away. And then in 1867, Joseph Lister, now you know where Listerine comes from, Joseph Lister was the one who came up with the germ theory. And basically the germ theory was there's little things running around that if they get into open wounds can cause infection. I mean, that's about the most simplistic way to say that, but you get the point. Again, it took 100 years for that to become part of our hygiene guidelines. In the beginning, people thought he was absolutely nuts, crazy. What do you mean? We can't see these germ things that you're hypothesizing. Bacteria, what is that? You're nuts. And so rather than saying, interesting hypothesis, let's see if there is something to that, they went, nah, don't want to do it. And how many people do you think died in that period of time when people were going, nah, you're nuts. We're not going to do anything about that. How many people do you think died? So we are now that future looking back on those people going, oh my God, I can't believe how silly they were. I mean, come on, how ignorant. Why didn't they know, right? That's us, the future, looking back at that future. So what is our future going to say about us, looking back at us? Here are two things I think that our future is going to say about us. I can't believe they had no clue about the power of subtle frequencies and energy. They didn't know about frequencies. They completely dismissed frequencies and what frequencies can do because they couldn't, feel it right away? They couldn't see it. You can't see, in our science can't measure it, so it can't be real, right? That is what our future is going to say about us, that we were kind of silly and dense about understanding how powerful frequencies actually are. And the second thing they're going to say, besides obviously a whole host of other things that they're going to say about us, I'm just boiling it down to two, is that they're going to be completely baffled by the fact that we had no clue that perception is our superpower, that we did not understand how perception is what is creating our reality. Now, I'm not wanting you to go into simplicity about this, the law of attraction, just feel good and then everything will come your way. There's far more complexity to that, which we are not able to go into right now. But ultimately, our future will know that when you can get your perception functioning and that you understand what perceptions you hold, your thoughts, your perceptions, everything that is there, also in the subconscious, in the unconscious, what is at the table that is creating your perceptions. And through that understanding, start shaping and shape-shifting your perception to the ones you want. That is where our power lies, and our future knows that. And so those two understandings of our future that we are hoping to bring in at this very moment and say, why don't you give this a try? Let's set skepticism aside. Let's set the boxes of beliefs that you think reality is like, set it aside. And I'm not saying buy everything we're saying as hook, line, and sinker. I'm not saying that either. But rather come into this open, curious, and seeing it as good hypothesis. And then get your own evidence. Get your own evidence. That is the key here. And I wanted to share, so the underlying foundational element of this Vote Hope project that we are doing for this year is frequency. There is a powerful frequency that Rennie will explain in a moment as to where it came from, how we got it, and why it is so powerful. And it is that frequency that we were able to embed into a meditation. Now, I hope you all got the link to the meditation. We are going to play it from this computer and it'll sound fine, but if you rather have headphones on when we do the meditation in a little bit and play it on your own side, you can download it and you can access it. And the link was sent in your email, or you can find it at votehope2020.life. Lakita, if you could just pop that into the chat, votehope2020.life. If you just scroll down a little bit, there's a button there that says get access to the meditation here. And so, there's a group of ours that are in our trainings that have been doing this meditation for a while now. And I wanted to share with you one of them in particular that I'm sorry, I'm multitasking. A quote in particular that I felt was so powerful. So this quote is from Ryan, who is in our masterclass. We have a masterclass called Call to Evolve. She says, the effect of the pure electrical life frequency in the Vote Hope meditation is pure magic. My initial experience with the meditation was a sense of freedom, but more importantly, I noticed a clearing out of emotional debris in my consciousness and body. Old patterns and ways of thinking that kept me feeling stuck in the past were being brought to my awareness for review and release. Now that I work with this frequency on a daily basis and use it with intention, I am experiencing an amazing transformation in how I interact with the world, and in turn, how the world interacts with me. I have seen dramatic shifts in my relationships, in my awareness, in my feeling of worthiness, and I am finally moving forward in my life with passion, more than ever before. So even if the whole project of Vote Hope 2020 is not that interesting to you, this global meditation that we're going to do, where we're going to come together, 1 million people doing this frequency all at once at the same time, November 3rd, 2020 at 1:11 Eastern Time US, where we're focusing this very meditation all together. If that's not that interesting to you, just hear what Ryan just said about how it's changing her life, how it's dissolving her own emotional well-being. And so, I'm sorry, not well-being, emotional debris, and adding to her well-being. You know, at the very, very core of this, that's what many of us long for, is just to feel good inside. When we start tuning in inside, not to, you know, be afraid because we're going to encounter our emotional stuff, our fears, our anxieties, our worries, our dread, our irritations. You know, we tend to be asleep to those. But the moment we start waking up, the moment we start becoming observers of ourselves, we start seeing that stuff, and it's sometimes a little bit hard to take. And so this is an invitation to say, look at it from the observer, and then let it dissolve through this meditation. So with that, I am going to hand this off now to Rennie.
Wow.
I'm going to hand it off to Rennie now, and he is going to explain you know, why this Vote Hope 2020 project came about. What are the underlying factors that caused us to go in this direction, and what we're hoping to accomplish. And since I have this not here, I'll just stay in the picture.
Okay.
So I'll just stay here and look.
Oh, nice.
I was going to move stage left, but I lost my external my monitor, so.
Okay, well, wow. I actually woke up this morning with a Beatles song in my head, you know. I read the news today. Oh boy, remember that? You know, I mean, I don't read the news so much, but you know, when I actually pick up a newspaper and look at the headlines or turn on the television and watch the news, you know, it's just, it's like one calamity stacked on another, on another, on another. It's like bumper cars in a circus, but there's nothing funny about, you know, 1 degree of warming and how global warming has suddenly turned into climate catastrophes, you know, from Australia to California. And we're seeing an species extinction that, I don't know, it's the largest extinction of species in the past 65 million years is occurring right now at the present time. Wildlife, 60% of wildlife is gone since the 1960s. Those were kind of my days. And so, and we're just, you know, I mean, we have a president who basically denies climate change, and, you know, now he's been impeached, and then he went before his trial of the century. And remember the Chief Justice, you know, he has all the senators raise their right hand and swear to God that they will be impartial jurors. So rather than to take the opportunity to remove the president, they acquit him. You know, and we're all kind of scratching our head as, you know, people defend their vote by saying, well, I think he's learned his lesson now. And we're watching, you know, now the president just go into a tirade of retribution and attack on anybody that opposed him. And, you know, I'm just wondering, you know, what Republicans say when the republic has ended and democracy has gone. The point is that when you look at the news, what we're experiencing collectively as humanity is stress, anxiety, you know, the absurd becoming normal. And, you know, all of these are derivative of fear. And, you know, fear is basically enveloping this planet like a tsunami. So, what if there could be discovered an energy, a frequency that was literally impervious to the density of fear? We could, as Kirsten said, you know, let it just kind of flow through our own body to remove the fear in ourselves. But we could also send it to the equator where it would wrap around the globe and literally balance the fear and protect the balance of life. But the law of free will operates here. And so we cannot remove fear from human beings who want to be in their fear, but we can remove the fear of human beings that's embedded in the soil, the water, the atmosphere. We can balance the fear if we had a frequency that was impervious to fear. So we're at a moment when there are so many organizations, let's say they all have a spiritual bent, you know, and all these organizations, you know, do incredible things, but we don't have a coalition. We don't have an activity that we can all join in together and basically bring every spiritual force on earth into one focus at one time. You know, some of you may know that in the 1960s, I was the coordinator of the largest anti-war and civil rights coalition in that time. And, you know, I was there from the beginning. I mean, from February 1st, 1960, I was a full-time activist, and I stayed with it right through the end of 1973. And I was one of the founders of a group called Students for a Democratic Society. We had hundreds of chapters, you know, across the country, but coalition, you know, I mean, we were in a coalition with one group, which was the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. They were like students who were on the front line of sit-ins at that time. Other than that, I mean, we knew there were others, but coalition, you know, I mean, it was, and all the organizations were the same way. It's kind of like today, you know, I mean, Martin Luther King had big public followings, but he just had one organization, SCLC. There was no coalition. It took us 7 years, okay, 7 years to figure this out, that if we could just agree that we were all here to end the war in Vietnam and to end racial disenfranchisement in the United States. I mean, everybody agreed on that. Why couldn't there be a coalition where all the organizations stay intact? They stay with their own purpose and their members and their agenda, but they occasionally come together, okay, to do something that individually we cannot do ourselves alone. I mean, SDS put on a demonstration against the war. 25,000 people showed up. We thought that was fantastic. But when we had a coalition of 150 national organizations, and we could put on a demonstration against the war of 500,000 people in Washington and 250,000 people on the same day in San Francisco. So coalitions really change everything. And that's what we believe is possible right now today. every spiritual organization wants to balance the fear and protect the balance of life. And as simply what's happened here is a discovery. It may be, we're not trying to bring attention or credit to it. We just want to explain that this is truly a remarkable event. We're going to introduce today a frequency that does not exist in the world. It does not exist anywhere in our galaxy. What we discovered was this, that the brain that is located in the skull is not the same thing as the mind that's located in an electrical field that comes off of the skin. And we see a group of people that we're calling the new humanity that are here to basically create the future of the human race. And that the great contribution that we make to the future of our species is the discovery of the mind. So here's what we've discovered is that if you could go through the entire galaxy and come out of the galaxy into a space where 4 other galaxies are all butting up into the space. So you got 5 galaxies around a center, and in that center is a sun. We call it a central sun. It's about 1,000 times larger than our solar sun. But it's a sun like, it's just awesome to experience it. I mean, it truly is. It's truly amazing. I mean, it's like a white crystalline star. It's like a diamond planet. And it's the energy that it's emitting is pleasant, but it's the lightest thing in existence. And basically when the energy is flowing through you, it feels like, I would use the word purity, but it doesn't explain it well enough. It's a purity that is total purity, super purity, complete purity flowing through yourself. So we've discovered that the mind can travel through interstellar space at the speed of thought, stand before a central sun, record this frequency perfectly, bring it back to our body. The body turns out to be the most brilliant recording instrument in all of creation. And then from there, find the very most advanced audio recording technology that's available at the present time. It has to be that way because this frequency is so subtle and so pure. And then record a meditation that basically embeds this frequency that is impervious to fear in a recording. And that's what we're going to play today. Yes, it's subtle, but yes, it's beautiful. And it does take some preparation. I mean, in the meditation, you're going to basically be walked through just relax, but this is a relax that's supported by unique frequencies. I mean, there's a frequency to relax all muscle groups in your body embedded in the recording. It's audible. You can hear it slightly. Then a frequency to basically open and dilate the central nervous system. This is the highest frequency imaginable. It's going to come through your nervous system. You want it open, dilated. And then basically another frequency that's going to relax the skeleton, and then get the skeleton so there's space around every cell in the skeleton so this frequency could come right through that space. Okay, and then now if it's useful to you to basically picture yourself standing in front of a central sun, there's the image of a portal. And the portal basically connects to where you are right now. You want to just really deeply relax as you step into the portal. And then basically you're going to move at the speed of thought, okay, through the whole galaxy and stand in front of the central sun. the important thing to understand is the frequency that is so precious, the discovery is already embedded in the recording. So you just play the recording and the frequency is going to be there. But a lot of people, I mean, the meditation kind of walks you through, stand in front of the central sun and feel this complete, total super purity flowing through you now. So this is a, you know, this is something that may take some time to really fully get what it is. I mean, it is a, this is a life-changing event that you're going to experience. I'm not saying it's not subtle. I'm not saying it doesn't take practice, but the meditation will take you into the frequency. And then at one point in the recording, you'll hear, and now the amperage of the frequency is increasing. For some people, many people, that's where they first realize, oh my God, there really is something here, you know? So, and then you'll listen to music that is, you know, beautiful and takes you through this. And as you move towards the end, you over time, you're going to start to realize that this is a real deal. This is incredible. And when the amperages increase, it's now flowing through you, every molecule, every cell, every atom in your body. And you're now able to literally direct the energy that's flowing through you out of your two hands. So what the Vote Hope 2020 project is all about is directing this energy to the equator. There is already a band circling the planet at the equator. It's about 25 miles in width. It's just below the stratosphere. But when you send the energy out of your hands through this band, the energy only is attracted to itself. It will not go anyplace else. So it'll just strengthen the band. Now, one of the things that's occurred is that we've discovered that the saguaro, most of them reside in Arizona, the saguaro is the telepathic master of this planet. And like everything else on Earth, it's not able to generate this frequency out of itself. However, when we developed a technology to basically continuously broadcast, we call it electrical life in its purest form, into a little monument of saguaros in Arizona, these saguaros telepathically then communicate this nourishment to every saguaro on Earth. And so right now, today, we have 1 million saguaros broadcasting electrical life in its purest form into the atmosphere. And that's what's maintaining this crystalline band that's circling the planet right now. What we want to do is to match the saguaros. We're saying we have 1 million saguaros doing it. Could we get 1 million human beings strong to basically support the saguaros that will balance the fear that is going to explode? Whatever the outcome of the election on November 3rd, there is going to be a wave of fear in this country about the outcome. And it's not just this country, it's really the world. I mean, the world is looking to whether or not America is just going to be permanently checked out or not. And we have a tool now, a discovery that literally can balance the fear and protect the balance of life, because the energy is impervious to fear. Let me just bear with me for a minute. I'm just going to very quickly try to explain a little bit about the physics of frequencies. You know, you know, you do not have to understand the physics of frequencies to benefit from this meditation yourself. You do not have to understand the physics of frequencies to send electrical life in its purest form to the equator. But for many of you, you really, I mean, this is a complex subject, and is this really is this Rennie science fiction, or is this really something to this, you know? So basically, the big breakthrough in energy understanding was Einstein with his, you know, his formula E equals mc squared. What's he really saying is that the wall behind us and the flower pot here and the computer screen that we're looking at and the chair that you're sitting in and everything in density is fundamentally energy that's been compressed. And so if you could experience the one energy in the universe, you would call it joy, which was the card that we picked today for this, this celebration. And this Valentine's Day, we're trying to basically invite you to give a gift to yourself of love. And so basically, if you were to compress joy with your thoughts, you can compress it down to the frequency of stress, anxiety, fear, you know. So really, when you look at the energy of fear, what is it really? It's just compressed joy. So we actually teach tools and practices to take the fear of the energy of anger or the energy of fear and basically release it back into joy. But if you wanted to balance the fear that threatens the future of the human race, it's tricky. It's really almost impossible to do. I mean, you think about a balance scale. So you put all the fear of the world on one side of the scale. Now you're going to balance the other side. So if you put hope, pure unsullied hope, on the other side, what does hope do? It lifts your spirit. You know, it's not heavy and dense. It's light. And so basically it takes, you know, 1,000 times more hope to balance the fear. And that in a time of massive fear sweeping the planet becomes really quite a challenge to do. But and then basically that same hope can be compressed by the fear, the thought of fear, into fear itself. So it's not, it is not impervious to fear. It's affected by fear. And that's what we're seeing in the world. The hope of the human race is being affected by the mounting fear and the anti-life that's spreading everywhere on this planet. But now there is an exception to Einstein's theory of everything. E equals mc squared is fine, is quite a contribution, but we're submitting today that there's an exception to E equals mc squared. There is one energy that cannot be converted into density, and that is the radiation of a central sun. As I said before, it does not exist on Earth. It does not exist in our entire galaxy until today. Today, you are going to experience an energy that is impervious to fear. And there are so many creative ways to work with this. And there are so many ways that we can use this to basically balance the fear. And we believe that really the time has come where everyone who can understand the importance of balancing the fear, certainly all spiritual organizations, all traditions, most religions, the Unitarian Church, I mean, all the yoga groups, the number of people that are involved in New Age spiritual practices, all of them really could. I mean, this is just, we're just gifting this free of charge to anyone who will basically help humanity rise to the occasion and balance the fear with an energy that is impervious to fear. So this is our plan. We're going to basically create meditation hubs. Kirsten's going to explain some of our logistics, how we're going to do this. And we are on a march right now. We are marching to November 3rd, 2020. We're not limiting it to that time. We know that the fear is going to continue to grow to 2022 looks like a extreme time of calamity on this planet. And this basically is the contribution of the new humanity, to basically create an event that allows humanity to have a future and not kill itself off as a species. As we go to work putting together a new way of living, we're building a new nation on this planet that will become the future of our species. So, you know, Charles Dickens wrote a book called A Tale of Two Cities, where he talks about the worst of times and the best of times. And it's appropriate for how we see the present time. It is the worst of times, but in the worst of times, in an age of extinction, we are basically going to create the best of times. We have a way to navigate the coming pandemic, the coming wave of fears. We have tools and practices that are going to let us set up a new way of living that basically can not only live but thrive as the temperatures go from the 1 degree that we're seeing the impact in Australia and California to 3 degrees Celsius. And we're fully prepared. We can be fully prepared for this. We really can. And we can work in cities and we can work everywhere. We are actually holding a strategy to allow ourselves to choose. We can choose to be in despair, depression, hopelessness, or we can choose to make this the best of times, the time when we create our own reality inside the larger reality, a time when basically we shine. We just shine ourselves right into the fall of darkness. And out of the worst of times comes the best of times. Out of the time of massive fear comes the birth of the future of the human race. So that is our project, and we warmly and sincerely welcome you here today to be a part of the most significant global meditation in human history.
There is actually evidence, scientific peer-reviewed evidence that has shown that if a group of people come together and focus together on one thing, they have an effect. So what was found is that at one point there was a 72% decrease in terrorism activity. And another study showed decrease in violent crime and hate crimes. So there is evidence that when we come together to focus on one thing, in that case it was peace, we have an impact. So can you just imagine taking what Rennie just said about the frequency that we're working with and having 1 million people focus that at the same time to balance this density of fear? That is what we're looking for. And, you know, we can't do this by ourselves. So, you know, hopefully you guys will, you know, have the experience you'll have, and then share it with as many people as you feel comfortable. So I want to go through real quick the different levels at which you can get involved. You know, so you go to our website, or you probably have already gotten the meditation on your own. But if you haven't, you know, you can go to that votehope2020.life website and get the meditation there. And so, you know, when we say levels of participation, this is just how much time you have, how much interest you have in the whole thing. But this is what we're calling level 1 participation. So you get the Vote Hope meditation, and you do it as often as you can from now until November 3rd. And the principle applies like as if you were starting to go to a gym and start doing you know, reps with weights. You want, it's the same thing. You need to get your body being able to hold the frequencies. You need your body to be able to not have the nervous system freak out when you bring the frequencies in. And the more you do the practicing, the more you will be able to hold the amplitude of it. And when you can do that, then when you send it out to that band, that crystalline band, you will be one of the people that will put, you know, a massive amount of frequency in there. So that's why we recommend do this as often as you can. I mean, you know, most of us are doing it daily now. You know, some of us are having it in the background, you know, without sound. We're just bathing in the frequencies so that we can hold more and more and more. And then Rennie and I are doing a monthly webinar and meditation so that we can start practicing doing this together. And we're looking, you know, hopefully more and more people will join that, and we'll give an update on where we're at, and then do the meditation together. So our next one is, happens to be Spring Equinox, which is Thursday, March 19th at 6 p.m. So, and you'll get information about that. But that is when our next Vote Hope 2020 webinar is going to be, when we're going to do the meditation together. Also, there is a Facebook group, and hopefully you'll come and join there and share your experiences. That's where you can ask questions. That's where a lot of our interaction will happen. And then on November 3rd, 2020 at 1:11 Eastern US time is when we're going to do the globally coordinated Vote Hope meditation together. That is our culmination moment that we are moving towards with this whole project. Hold on. And then, so level 2 participation is that you do all of these level 1 activities, but you join a Vote Hope meditation circle in your area if one has formed. So obviously we're at the beginning of this right now, so there's not a whole lot of them. There's one here in Boulder that is happening, and I know there's a few starting in Ashland and Talent, Oregon, and probably in Phoenix. So you know, as this project goes along, we're assuming more and more meditation circles will happen, and, you know, hopefully they'll be on a weekly basis, multiple times a month at least, so that you can come together and practice together. So then level 3 participation is become a host. You know, really think about whether you're one of the people who can bring a group together on a weekly or regular basis and host a circle, and we will help you with that. We will give you a suggested agenda for that gathering, and what you can, how you can onboard people into the circle. So we will help you with that. And then level 4 is hub coordinators. And, you know, with Rennie talking about his 60s and 70s activities in the anti-war movement and social justice movement, and, you know, coordinators, or what you called them, organizers. Right. The organizers were one of the key people in that movement. They were the ones that were on the ground talking to people, talking to their networks, talking to their organizations, and bringing them in to that project. And so we're hoping to find a number of hub organizers, hub coordinators that will play that role as well, that you're the ones who are going to be in your communities talking to the organizations and the networks that is going to help us get to the 1 million strong. You know, we were in 2013, I think it was, when we were living in Lyons, Colorado, and we had a flood event that was like one of those, 1,000-year floods, I think it was. You know, where basically Lyons sits at the confluence of 2 rivers coming down from the mountain, and they came together right in Lyons, and they took out a whole section of town. Boulder was affected, so it was a whole, this whole region. We had massive flooding, and it cut Lyons off. We had nowhere to go. We couldn't go into the mountains because those roads were completely wiped out. And the road out of town was flooded, bigger, you know, like 2-3 football fields large. So there was nowhere to go. And one of the things that emerged was this concept of lion strong. And I know that concept has come out a lot now. So-and-so strong, Australia strong, you know, Boulder strong. So we're calling on 1 million strong on November 3rd. Can we do it? I think we can. But it depends on all of us. It depends on all of us doing what we can to let people know about it and being excited about it and bringing it out to the world. Because really, as I started, you know, let's give this a shot. There's a lot of challenges in the world right now. And our future is going to look back at us and go, whoa, I wish they had known about frequencies and the power of frequencies. Well, we know about the power of frequencies, and we are inviting you to join in this Vote Hope 2020 project. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 5-minute break just so we can get comfortable. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do the meditation together. It's about a 40-minute meditation. You know, so the first 20 minutes is about preparing the body to be able to hold those frequencies. And then when we're done, we're going to come back and answer any questions that you might have. You know, you might have had an experience during the meditation that you would like some, you know, some clarification on. And, you know, here's what I would say. I am somebody who tends to not feel things right away. You know, we call that a thick membrane, you know, versus the thin membranes that, you know, you just blow on them and they have just these massive experiences and get challenged by the world's energy and all of that. You know, I come from the other side. I have been through these trainings and through the frequency work that I've done, I've become a lot more sensitive. But I am not somebody who comes from like a blowout experience right off the bat. So I highly recommend come into this not having any expectations to feel anything. You might feel relaxed. You might feel really good afterwards, but give it a shot. Give it enough time over the next, let's say, a month at least, and do the meditation regularly enough that you can get your own evidence of its power. And if you then afterwards still think, nah, this is not for me, fine. But get your own evidence. Don't just dismiss it out of hand right away. So just take a moment and just scan your body right now. Scan what changed. Do you feel lighter? Are you tingling somewhere? Just stay present with your body right now as you come back to focus here. And so one of the things that this meditation does is it reduces your density. And sometimes when you get too low in density, it's kind of hard to function in the world. Like I'm having a hard time getting my eyes open right now. And so as we wake up, as we mature as a species, one of the things that we are going to be learning is to deliberately choose our states of being. And so what I invite you right now to do is just imagine a stairway in front of you. Just you're standing at the bottom of this stairwell, and this is the density ladder. And you know, when you're down at the, 5, 6, 7 density level, it's a little hard to function in the world, to go back to work, to drive heavy equipment like cars. And so right now, I want to invite you to just take a step up on that stairway and feel how that feels. You're in your perception holding that you're increasing your density just a little bit. So make a step up and feel how that feels. Are you more in your body? Are you more present? And then take another step up. And where it is good to function at is 8 is a good one, but between 8 and 10 levels of density is a good place to function at. So on your own stairway, just get to that level on your own. Just let yourself hold the perception that you're coming to a level 8 or a level 9 if that's more comfortable, or 10. Anything above that, then you get into, the heavier densities again of fear and egos and irritation and such. So when you can function between 8 and 10, when you're doing normal life, you're massive step forward in handling your state of being. So just feel that now. Are you coming back? Are you, take a few one breaths, in through the nose and out of the mouth. Bring yourself back into your body. Yeah. One of the things that, as you practice this meditation, practice quieting the brain. Remember, Rennie was talking about the mind earlier, and that is what is in our future. That is part of our future self, is to be able to access the mind, but you cannot access the mind, which is where knowingness is and intuition. You cannot access the mind if your brain is going chatter, 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 chatter. And for some of you, that may have been the case during this meditation. For some of you, you might have been able to get to a really quiet space. That is what you're practicing. That is what you're reaching for. So that's part of this reps that I talked about. It's not just so for your body to hold these frequencies, for your nervous system to be able to send the frequencies through your body, but that you can quiet your brain completely. Total deep silence listening. That is one of the most nurturing things you can do for yourself. And let this meditation be that for you. Nurture you with that deep silence and allow your mind to start coming in with its knowingness.
The bad news is that it's really difficult to quiet the brain. The good news is that this frequency will assist you over time to quiet the brain chatter. One of the things I would say is that if you aren't sure if you experienced the frequency of the central sun, and it was nice, but I don't know, realize that this frequency is working on you. So over time, with practice, you're going to experience that. The reason that you maybe don't experience it the first time or first couple of times is because of your own stress and your own anxiety. We call it emotional debris. And this frequency will dissolve emotional debris over time. And it will lighten your density. And so just doing the meditation and hanging in there and doing the best you can to quiet the brain, the meditation frequency will work on you. And for many people who have been doing this for a while, that's what they discover. The first week is, it's pretty nice. I don't know, maybe, And then by week 2, it's like, oh my God,
what's happening?
What's happening to me? This is changing me.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people have abuse memories as a child, and, they go to psychiatrists to try to bring it up. And, you know, it's very difficult to change these kind of deep-seated memories that we have. This is a frequency that will dissolve childhood memories of abuse and all emotions of fear and anxiety and I'm not good enough and poor me and, you know, all the categories of victim. These are all emotional debris, and it'll clear those experiences out over time. You just have to stay with it and keep with it. And, you know, eventually, one of the reasons of going to a group is that there'll always be people in your group that understand that this is one of the significant discoveries of all time. You might not understand that, but just to meet other people who have figured it out is really encouraging to, you know, to invite you to stay with this and don't give up too quick. Yeah. You know, it really is the frequency of the central sun actually embedded in recording. It's never been on Earth. It's never been in our galaxy. And is this for real? And you're going to find in those meditation groups that there are people that absolutely know that this is for real. And it just keeps you motivated to stay with it until you can discover it for yourself.
So if you have any questions or something that came up during the meditation, pop it into the chat or the Q&A right now. But I have one fair warning, you know, in this process of dissolving emotional debris, it is likely going to come up. You know, but as you saw with Ryan's testimonial, it came up so that she could release it. So it's really important that you practice the notice and observe tool, which is part of our check egos. You want to not get sucked into whatever shows up. You know it's showing up for you to release it. And so you want to really stay present with it and observe whatever shows up, knowing it'll just flow through and dissolve. So that's your fair warning on that one. Oh, there was one question that came in. Hold on. How did you capture the frequency of the central sun? I'm going to let you answer that one.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And this can be put in the Rennie science fiction category. It's fine, but this is actually what happened. We discovered that it was possible to travel through interstellar space with the mind. And so it was the mind that made this possible. So the mind basically, you know, went through the whole galaxy and stood in front of a central sun. It's one of the rarest things in creation, a central sun. You know, a lot of spiritual people have hypothesized that they exist. They really do exist, and they're rare, and they are generating this frequency. So the mind was able to record the frequency of the central sun and then bring it back. And that the body is just one of the most remarkable instruments of recording frequencies. I mean, everybody who, excuse me, everyone who's listened to this meditation for the first time ever right now have now recorded the frequency of the central sun in their body. All you need now is an access word. You know, we use the word electrical life in its purest form, accessing the frequency of electrical life in its purest form now. And that frequency, yes, it's subtle, will start being broadcast by your own body. So that's basically how we did it. And then we went into, there was a company, an inventor really, who basically invented an advance in audio recording. He kind of made it available to engineers of recording studios, and they realized that this was something unique in the whole world industry of recording. And so he's now basically a leading distributor of audio recording equipment in the music business. And we were invited into his research and development laboratory, the best in the world, to record this meditation. The music and the meditation are all fine, but it's really what we're trying to get at is we capture the frequency itself in a recording. It really is there. And it's so subtle and so elusive, but there it is. And now it's like you are standing in front of the central sun. One of the things that people who do this over time realize is that the body has recorded this frequency. And after a while, you stop using the image of standing in front of the central sun, and you just basically record, you just broadcast this from yourself. You can let yourself become the energy that is impervious to fear. You can walk through a time of fear and hysteria completely impervious to the density of fear. And that's where we're all going with this frequency and this discovery.
I have a little secret that I'm going to reveal too, because Rennie was being very modest there, and everything he said is true, but it just happens that in his treasure box that he brought into this life, we all, you know, before we're born, we put in little treasures that and gifts that we have. One of the gifts that he brought in, skills that he brought in, was this particular skill of being able to capture and then broadcast into anything and record it into anything frequencies. He's done it again and again. We have crystals, you know, Swarovski crystals that are infused with these energies, and people work with them all the time. So it's a gift that he has brought in particular. So yes, our bodies are able to record it, but he has a very specific gift in that. So okay. Okay then, so as we complete, one of the things is this notion of spiritual hygiene. You know, as I was just taking you through the density ladder and understanding your state of being and choosing that, the same thing goes with spiritual hygiene. So as we just came together in this webinar together, we all connected through one of our senses. You know, we have 14 senses, not 5. And one of those senses is called circuits. They're basically like high transmission lines between us, and they carry data back and forth. And most people, especially in the spiritual community, try to connect heart to heart. And that's a two-way transmission of basically all of our emotional junk. So one of the things is you always want to learn to connect to anybody you meet, heart to solar plexus. So that's one thing whenever you encounter somebody. And so right now, as we leave this webinar, you want to just imagine the root of that circuit that we've put out to each other, and you want to cut at the root right now so that you disconnect from everybody that was on this call and come back to your own space. You're not connecting from humanity or anything, disconnecting from humanity. You're just taking back your own energy. And that's part of spiritual hygiene as we wake up. So right now, just imagine, and it's in the blood cell, and you know, I'm not going to go into the exact details of everything, but just imagine a circuit that is lodged in a blood cell at the root. You're going to cut that circuit right now, all the circuits to everybody who's here. And with that, you're completing and saying, I am complete with this webinar. I am now going back into, you know, whatever you're going to do this afternoon, but you're in your own energy and nothing is being fed into you. So just one little tool that we have in our protection treasure chest tool that is massive. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us for this Valentine's Day, for the love of humanity. I hope you can understand and feel now why we called it that. This is our gift to humanity. This is our love letter to humanity, saying, we know who you are. We know who we are as humans, and we just need to wake up to that. And our gift is this frequency, this love, life, and joy that we can put together into this world. And when we do it together, it'll be so incredibly powerful. So please stay connected with us through the Facebook group, and we will be in touch with you through emails. We will be communicating on the Facebook group, and we'll be doing this webinar monthly, and then hopefully you'll be in a weekly meditation circle in your own region. So as we build to November 3rd, 2020, stay engaged and make this a project for you for this year for you. So with that, I wish you a magnificent rest of your Friday and weekend, and we will be in touch soon. Take care, everybody.